Good morning, everyone. We are coming to you live from Singapore at the Digital Media Zone here at Innovate for Climate, where global leaders from the finance, markets, and technology sectors are discussing the future of climate finance and innovative climate solutions. Please follow the conversation online with the hashtag #InnovateForClimate. I'm Kaia Rose with the Connect4Climate team at the World Bank, and I'm here today with Nick North, who's a producer on the upcoming documentary, The Great Green Wall. Welcome. Thank you for being here, Nick.
Thanks, Kaia. Thanks very much.
So you're based here in Singapore.
Yes.
You're working with Make Waves, who produced The Great Green Wall.
That's right. That's right.
Tell me a little bit about The Great Green Wall and why Make Waves wanted to produce this film.
Okay, yeah, so the Great Green Wall is an initiative in Africa. Effectively, the simplest way to think about it is it's an initiative to grow a wall of trees across the continent, all the way from Senegal to Djibouti, which is 8,000 kilometers long. The target is for it to be fully grown by 2030, and it's an epic initiative. The idea behind it is to combat the spread of the desert southwards through the Sahel region, almost as if it's like a natural barrier to the desert. So when it's finally grown, it will be the largest living structure on the planet, longer, 3 times as long as the Great Barrier Reef. So it's a pretty epic endeavor. It involves the African Union, it involves 12 countries across that region. And we were approached by the UNCCD, the UN Convention to Combat Desertification, who wanted to make a feature documentary about this topic. And that's how we got involved. Amazing.
So Connect4Climate is one of the partners on this film.
Yeah.
And we have an initiative called Film for Climate, so we work a lot with the creative industries to kind of help amplify these messages of climate solutions. And tell me a little bit, because I know that the film has applied sustainability standards in the production. So it'd be great to hear a little bit more about that, because that's something that Connect4Climate works on a lot.
Yeah, we're Albert Sustainability Certified. So that's a kind of a certification originating in the UK for sustainability in film and television. Film and TV shoots often have a fairly large sort of carbon footprint. You know, they involve a lot of people, they involve transportation, flights around the world, you know, almost like a mobile moving village in a way that creates a lot of waste in its wake.
Yeah.
So the standards under Albert are sort of to keep a check on some of the excesses of film production. So we have to tick a lot of boxes to get that certification, which we managed to do. And you know, the thing for a documentary though is it can be a lot leaner than a feature film as well.
True.
And we had a very, very lean team that actually went to Africa to shoot the production. Really just the people who really, really needed to be there. So, you know, when we were traveling around as well a lot between 5 different countries across the continent. And also we used, you know, other measures throughout the production. We used solar power where available. We used permanent water bottles, that kind of thing as well. So every little bit adding up, you know.
Absolutely. Well, I think it's important because we're here at Innovate for Climate. There's a lot of talk about climate finance and climate markets, but I think it's also good to open that innovation up to things like the film industry. I mean, this needs to be happening everywhere. And I'm, as a filmmaker myself, I'm quite passionate about that, and also about the power that film and storytelling has to get these messages to a broader audience.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about, what do you hope the impact of the documentary will be? And like, how are you planning to use the film to raise awareness, inspire action, and also support the Great Green Wall projects?
So it helps to sort of paint a little bit more of a picture about the direction that we took with the film. From the beginning, we didn't want to make it a very straight climate change documentary. We wanted to have a little bit of a fresh twist on that. And we decided that music would be the way that we would achieve that. We were inspired by a movie from about 20 years ago called When We Were Kings, which is a documentary about the Muhammad Ali, George Foreman fight in Zaire, Rumble in the Jungle, back in the 70s, which ostensibly is a film about boxing, but actually in that movie, it ended up being about so much more, and the music was a big part of that. It became, you know, the movie became about civil rights. It became about a lot of the issues that were going on at the time, back in the mid-70s. And we knew that there was such a lot of great music from the Sahel region of Africa, Baba Mal, Usanador, to name just two. So we thought, look, let's find a way to weave that into the story of the wall and make it about that as well. And so we ended up choosing a protagonist. We have a Malian pop singer. She's like our guide along the wall. Ina Moja is her name. So had a few hits in Europe. And we follow Ina along the path of the wall, and she is making an album basically as she travels with collaborators who live in the countries of the Sahel, and also meeting people along the way who have some connection to the Great Green Wall, whether it's through the initiative or whether it's simply that their lives have been affected by what's happening in that region. So for us, the music was a huge part of that, and we felt that it was key to help create a kind of emotional connection for viewers of the film, and also to spread a positive message, because the Great Green Wall is a solution to climate problems. So we wanted the film not to dwell on the negatives, although you need the context of that.
Absolutely.
We wanted to really put forward that positive message, and we felt that music was going to be a huge part of achieving that. So in terms of reaching the right audience, it's getting the film out there, and getting the right commercial distribution, having special screenings of the movie, getting the right people to watch the film. We need people in governmental levels to see it, because that's where change could be most effective. And the album as well is going to be a big part of marketing and also fundraising for that. So we're sort of coalescing that whole outreach strategy right now. Now that we've got the film basically finished, that's where all our energies are focused. And it's also going to include, educational outreach and all sorts of other things as well, which is all going to come together.
Great. Well, so stay tuned, basically.
Exactly.
Very exciting. So just to end this conversation, for those that are watching online, usually a younger audience, maybe some budding filmmakers, budding musicians, how can they get involved? What kind of message do you have for them?
Get involved in
climate solutions, and maybe supporting the film, but particularly kind of use their skills and their passions to kind of help amplify this message of climate solution.
Yeah, I think it's for us as filmmakers. We see we have come at this kind of thing from a slightly different approach. We feel that something like a successful film can connect with people in a way that might be a little different to finding out about something in the news or reading an article.
Yeah.
And we were really at pains with this film to try to create those moments of emotional connection, positivity, to really connect with the audience in a different kind of level. And I hope we've succeeded in the film. And there's certainly some moment from just showing it to the few people that have seen it so far, because the movie's not out yet. We could see that it has succeeded at times with that kind of emotional connection, which is so important. And also in creating a kind of story, a human story behind some of the things that you might see on the news, for example. Right. You might find out on an information style level. We were at pains to really promote those kind of human stories. So that's what we're trying to achieve with the film, and hopefully word of mouth will play a big part in spreading that message.
Absolutely, and at the heart, climate change it's a human story. It is about people.
Absolutely, yeah.
So
and I think when you see a piece on the news, it's informative, but it doesn't always tell that part of the story, and that's a big part of what we were trying to do with the film.
Great, so tell more stories. Thank you so much for being here,
Thanks,
Nick.
Kaia.
We really appreciate it. Do follow the conversation here at Innovate for Climate with the hashtag Innovate for Climate, and then also, if you want to find out more about Film for Climate, you can head to Connect for Climate's website to find out about that initiative. And then follow that conversation online with the hashtag Film for Climate, and we'll have more news about the Great Green Wall coming out soon, I'm sure. Thanks so much.
Thank you.